I will debunk the 74 school shootings from Newtown.org. I will indicate, in my opinion, to what were actually school shootings by stating them as valid or bogus or gray, in that I don't consider the shooting a school shooting. The main articles I used are below. Check them out. 1. Bogus. It happened right outside of school. A 27-year-old was shot dead. He had talked to police earlier about an incident. 2. Valid. A student retaliated against a bully and shot the bully in the morning. The teacher stopped the crime. 3. Bogus. A financial aid person was shot by a 34-year-old student in the financial aid office. 4. Bogus. The shooting happened at night in the school parking lot. It was a domestic situation where the shooter killed an uncle and a parent girlfriend and injured her daughter. 5. Bogus. A 20-year-old was shot during a pickup basketball game at night on school grounds. 6. Valid. An argument between two men on campus escalated a gunfight where 3 people were injured in a crossfire. 7. Valid. An argument between 2 students led to a shooting of one of them. One teacher was hurt while being trampled by fleeing students. 8. Bogus. An argument between 2 students in a pickup basketball game led to a shooting. 9. Bogus. A man was seen brandishing a gun in the city. He ended up at the school where the police and man shot at each other, and a woman was shot in a crossfire. 10. Bogus. A shooting happened at night near the school because of a gambling event. 11. Bogus. A girl student was carrying a concealed handgun when she accidentally shot herself. One of the charges she is facing is for carrying a gun in a gun-free zone. 12. Bogus. A 12-year-old student committed suicide in his dorm room. Police speculate that he was about to shoot other people because he wrote in a journal about his plan. 13. Gray. A student committed suicide in the bathroom at school. 14. Valid. An 18-year-old shot 2 women at a mall, which happened to be an extension of a community college. 15. Bogus. A gun was fired on campus in a wooded area at night. No injuries were reported. 16. Bogus. An argument led to a shooting among 3 students in a dorm room. 17. Bogus. A video game bet led to an argument which led to a shooting. The shooter then turned himself into the police. 18. Gray. A student committed suicide in front of his classroom. 19. Gray. It started as a domestic dispute. The gunman shot his father and brother and then set the house on fire. He then carjacked somebody and continued a rampage on shooting random people throughout the city, and ended up at a college library where he killed 1 woman. A shootout took place at the library between the police and the shooter. He died of his gunshot wound. 20. Bogus. 2 men in their 50s were found dead inside a building basement. They were both janitors. Police won't say if a shooting actually occurred. 21. Bogus. A 38-year-old man was found dead in a parking lot in the early morning hours before school. 22. Valid. A student goes into the administration office and fires a gun into the ceiling. The secretary convinces him to surrender to police. 23. Bogus. A 5-year-old boy had a supposed gun in his backpack during breakfast before school started. The principal did not call 911 until 40 minutes later. 24. Bogus. A gang-related shooting left a 15-year-old boy dead during a football game. The victim was hanging out with other gang members, and other rival gang members were there and shot the boy. The sheriff said the shooting would have happened regardless of where the police were. 25. Valid. An argument between 2 students earlier led to a shooting during a fire drill. 26. Bogus. A university cop was demonstrating his gun to his fellow officers when he accidentally shot out a window. He was suspended. 27. Bogus. A 19-year-old committed suicide in a parking lot on a Saturday during multiple sporting events at the school. The man was linked to one of the players as a boyfriend or lover. 28. Bogus. An after-school fight in the parking lot escalated to a shooting that left 2 people injured and the shooter fleeing in a car. 29. Gray. A 17-year-old commits suicide in a courtyard with no other students present. 30. Valid. A middle school student shoots 2 students. A teacher was killed trying to protect the students. The shooter committed suicide. 31. Bogus. A 23-year-old man commits suicide at night on school property. 32. Bogus. A 21-year-old student was injured by a stray bullet. It was a random shooting from a distance at night where 4 suspects were connected to the shooting. 33. Bogus. A 17-year-old was shot on Sunday as he was watching football film at school. Rivals from another school instigated the shooting. 34. Bogus. A faculty member committed suicide in the school building overnight. His body was found the next day. 35. Valid. An argument to a fight to a shooting between a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. The 17-year-old shot the 17-year-old during school in the parking lot. 36. Valid. An 18-year-old student with a gun was calling for a teacher. The teacher ran off. The shooter shot a girl instead. He then committed suicide. 37. Bogus. A teacher was robbed at night by 4 boys who wanted his laptop. A struggle for the laptop ensued and the teacher was shot twice. 38. Valid. School was about to end that day when a 16-year-old shot a 17-year-old student and went home. He was later caught by police. 39. Valid. Before school started for the day, a 12-year-old student shot his intended target, an 11-year-old student. A 13-year-old student was also injured. A teacher stopped the shooter. 40. Bogus. 2 men fired a gun near a school. They took off running. No children were outside at the time of the shooting. 41. Bogus. A teenager brought a gun to school and accidentally shoots a boy and girl during an after-school event in the gym. 42. Bogus. An argument led to a shooting in the parking lot at night on campus. 43. Valid. A student walks into the university classroom and kills his intended target and walks out. He is caught and charged with murder. 44. Bogus. A student was killed in his dorm by 4 men. His stepdad had died days earlier. 45. Bogus. A gambling debt argument led to a shooting with the victim being shot in the leg. 46. Bogus. An argument in a dormitory led to a shooting with a student being shot in the leg. 47. Bogus. It was a self-defense shooting when a 24-year-old shot a 25-year-old. 48. Bogus. 4 gang members were shooting at each other outside during a school basketball game. No injuries occurred and the 4 were arrested. 49. Bogus. A 15-year-old female student was standing in a crowd after a basketball school game when gang members in a car drove into the parking lot and shouted gang names, and she was shot in a crossfire when they started firing. 50. Gray. A high school boy committed suicide in a classroom with other students. 51. Valid. An argument after school near the gym led to a shooting. A 15-year-old student tried to break up a fight but was shot. 2 suspects were later caught. 52. Bogus. At night, on school grounds, a pickup basketball game led to an argument to a shooting of a 17-year-old by another 17-year-old. 53. Bogus. A 21-year-old was found dead in her car in an apparent suicide from a gunshot wound. 54. Bogus. A man from one car shot a man from another car in a school parking lot. 55. Bogus. Late at night, a group of students coming back from a restaurant were confronted by 4 other men trying to pick a fight. The instigators fired their weapons and hit a building. 56. Bogus. A 17-year-old student brought guns to school, but the parents found out and headed to school to confront the student. The student was stopped in time. The student intended to make demands later on the intercom. 57. Bogus. At Saturday night dance at the school, an argument led to a gun being fired into the ceilings. The witnesses won't give details to the police. 58. Bogus. A drunken 22-year-old got mad, went to his car, and fired his gun into the school grounds. He was later arrested and was posted on $2,500 bail. 59. Bogus. A robbery in the dormitory led to 2 students being fired upon and injured. 60. Bogus. A man shoots into the ground near a school building at night. The police arrested the man. 61. Bogus. A drug deal gone wrong in a dorm room. The buyer thought the seller was going for a gun when the buyer shot the seller. No charges were filed. 62. Bogus. A 19-year-old is injured when gang members shoot into a crowd during a red carpet event. 63. Bogus. A husband killed his wife in a school parking lot, and later he committed suicide at home. 64. Gray. A 14-year-old tries to commit suicide at the end of school in a secluded part of the school. He shoots himself with a .22 and doesn't die. He then calls 911. 65. Bogus. A 19-year-old tries to buy a gun in his car in a school parking lot. He accidentally shoots the buyer in the leg. 66. Bogus. 2 robbers robbed 3 men at night in a parking structure when one robber shot the victim in the hand. 67. Bogus. A Saturday night pickup basketball game argument led to a shooting. 68. Gray. 2 men started shooting in a school building at nobody in particular. A victim was hurt by fragments. 69. Bogus. An argument in a dormitory led to shots being fired and a 21-year-old is injured. 70. Bogus. A 24-year-old man shows a friend a gun and accidentally shoots him at 2 a.m. in the school parking lot. The shooter is later arrested. 71. Gray. A male student fails in an attempted suicide on top of a parking structure. 72. Bogus. A gang-related shooting leaves a 10-year-old girl injured in a crossfire. 73. Valid. A 26-year-old man goes into a classroom and kills 1 student and injured 2. He is stopped by a hall monitor with pepper spray. 74. Valid. A 15-year-old student shoots a 14-year-old in the locker room. A PE teacher is injured trying to help. The shooter then commits suicide. In my conclusion, my research indicates that most of the 74 school shootings on every town's website are wrong. I conclude that there were actually 15 school shootings. Another 8 were in the gray area because most of them were suicides. Don't believe what you hear in the news. Don't believe everything you hear in the news.